Hello and welcome to today's video. So this is going to be the second look through this vintage collection of Doll sci-fi and fantasy paperbacks. And these came from noted paperback historian Justin Marriott, who, wasn't really reading his Doll books anymore and thought, yeah, make a bit of shelf space and clear them out. And I was very grateful to receive them off him. I'd been a huge fan of the Doll books ever since I was a kid, and sci-fi and fantasy, although I don't read anything like as much of that as I used to. But there's some real cracking stuff in here and stuff I never really had the chance to get when I was reading them first time round. So to get so many in one hit is absolutely fantastic. So yeah, I will just finish off in this video going through cleaning all the books, getting them into tip-top shape, ready to be bibliofied and popped into the collection so I know exactly what's what and see perhaps which ones are missing. So anyway, without further ado, sit back, relax, and let's get to it. Right then, so let's start off with our second batch of vintage Doll books. And just initially then, I'm just going to go through each one and make sure everything is as clean as it can be, rub out any pencil markings, and then towards the end I'll give them all a polish and make sure the covers are nice and shiny. So hopefully you've already seen the first part of my my Doll books cleaning video. Now, I was very lucky that Justin Marriott, the editor of various paperback magazines, Paperback Fanatic and Hot Lead and many others, Men of Violence, he was having a little review of his paperback collection and thought, I'm not really reading those Doll books anymore, time to get a shot at them. And it's not a bad way to think, because if you're struggling for space a little bit, or if you've got stuff on your shelf that you think you're not just going to read, well, it does actually make sense to clear it out. Doll books, however, was one of those publishers which I had about 50 or so in my collection anyway, and I always wanted to get more. But since it costs so much more to get books from the States these days than it used to, because postage prices have gone up very much in the last few years. Exporting stuff from the States has become expensive. It's meant that I don't get anything like as much as I used to from eBay.com. So I have to rely on what's around over here in a lot of cases. And thankfully, with the Doll books, most of them were actually sold over here. I would hazard a guess and say I reckon everything was sold over here. Or do I reckon the entire list was? And if you want one in particular, you're just going to need to be patient, and then you'll get them. Some of them, as we discussed last time, go for a bit more than others. Flip K Dick, for example, is quite expensive, and some of Doll's horror anthologies are also can be a bit pricey. But apart from that, that's nice, isn't it? That's got a cover by Josh Kirby by the look of it. You recognise it from his Terry Pratchett jackets. Yeah, but on the whole, it's quite a cheap series to collect. But I would very much recommend, and this is why I was so pleased to get this lot, get them all in one, or get a few in job lots to start your collection off, because they don't turn up very often, and when they do, they are, if you buy one or two at a time, it's going to be expensive. It's as simple as that. Time you pay the postage, and if you pick books up in a job lot, it's much cheaper in the long run to get a collection together, and that goes with most things, I guess, particularly when you're starting. Obviously, if you're near the end of what you're trying to collect, then pick the last few off individually. For myself, I'm sort of trying to get the first 10 years or so of Doll books, with a few selected ones afterwards, the anthologies. And that generally encompasses books up to around 1982, early 83, and also approximately the first 500 or so in the numbered series. So the thing about the door books is they've got like the little numbers on the front there, and that's really good. That's interesting. That's got a Wilson's Book World in St. Petersburg, Florida. $2.50. Your trade credit was $4.75. There we are. So anyway, once I've got a little batch where I've done the insides, I'm going to just run my toothbrush along the top edges and bottom edges just to get off any dust which might be on there. On the whole, these haven't been too bad at all. A little bit of variation, but on the whole, very, very nice. So what I thought I'd do, I have been online and I've pulled off a bit of information about door books, which I thought might be quite interesting to go over whilst we were cleaning these books, because I have got the best part of 100 to get through. So I shall go through that as we clean them. So this is a bit Wikipedia-ish, although I didn't pull any of this from Wikipedia. It's from various sources around the internet. So Door Books is an American science fiction and fantasy publisher founded by Donald A. Wollheim, along with his wife, Elsie B. Wollheim, following his departure from Ace Books in 1971. Yes, I forgot that Donald worked for Ace for many years. The company claims to be the first publishing company ever devoted exclusively to science fiction and fantasy. Although, as we know, there are the odd horror titles in here and the horror anthologies, which go along sort of the sci-fi anthologies. The first book to be published was in 1972, and it was a short story collection by Andre Norton, Spell of the White Witch, which I think we've possibly already seen, but if not, there's definitely a copy in here. And it's a title that I have already got, because I tried to get the first sort of... I said I had quite a few Door books because they printed John Norman's Gore books from, I think, book number 8. They took over from Ballantine, and really pushed the series. I think maybe Door were looking for their sort of version of Conan or something like that, although the Gore books definitely didn't follow that route. But they certainly put the money in, and they employed some big name artists to do the jackets. What an awkward place to put this sticker, eh? David's Bargain Bookshop, wherever that was. You have not made a friend today. There we are. Right. So, in its early years, under the leadership of Wollheim and his wife, Elsie, Door gained a reputation of publishing popular, though not always critically acclaimed, works of science fiction and fantasy. Well, that's absolutely true, isn't it? Some of this is definitely fan favourite stuff, but it may not be the best sort of literature you've ever read. That's probably very true. Nevertheless, in the 1970s, the company published numerous books by award-winning authors, such as Marion Zimmer Bradley, Fritz Leiber, Edward Llewellyn, Jerry Pournelle, Roger Zelazny, and many others, In 1982, C.J. Sherrill's Down Below Station was the first door book to win the Hugo Award for Best Novel. So there you go. That was 10 years into their run. So this one's got the bottom cut out there. That's a shame, isn't it? It's got a little 50p sticker on the front here. Let's see if I can get that. Otherwise, it's a nice tight copy. So although this has taken the sticker off, it has left a bit of sticker residue. So I'm going to pop this one to one side as one that we know needs a little bit of extra polish at the end. Just to get rid of that sci-fi, that little sticker mark. One thing that's quite interesting, I've noticed this is where Door would traditionally put their price. If you look at this one, it's got $1.25. This one's had it. That's simply because it's been through the second-hand market, and just through the normal rules of inflation, even the original cover price is probably less than the second-hand shop wanted to sell the book for. So they've penned that bit out, and sometimes they get penned out on the spines as well, where the price was. That's fairly interesting. Yeah, I always thought, I'd tell you the author I thought would be fantastic in this list, but she must have been published in by another publisher, and I probably think it was Bantam, because they published her in the UK under the Transworld Corgi imprint, was Anne McCaffrey with all her dragon books. She would have been right at home in this list. I remember meeting Anne McCaffrey in the early 90s. She was at a science fiction convention actually in my hometown. A really, really nice woman. She'd come over from Ireland, I believe, for the convention. Let's give those top edges a wipe, dust rather. Another wedge here. So, reading my little potted bibliography again whilst I'm cleaning here. So, until 1984, all the door books were characterised by their distinctive yellow spines, when those spines aren't faded, of course. And a prominent yellow cover box containing the company's logo as well as the chronological publication number. When the design was changed, the chronological number was retained but moved to the copyright page. And renamed the Door Collectors Club book number. Although it has a distribution relationship with Penguin Books and is headquartered in Penguin USA's offices in New York City, Door is editorially independent, and this is something that's closely held by its current publishers, Betsy Walmheim, Donald's daughter, and Sheila E. Gilbert. There you go. As I said last time, their most recent, biggest hit was the discovery of Patrick Rothfuss. And when you look at them online, you can still submit brand new sort of manuscripts to them. They're one of the few publishers that actively look for people to send stuff in. I guess in the hope that you'll find another Rothfuss. Now this one here, I'm a little bit torn because it's got a sticker on, but in my experience, stickers like this are actually quite tough to get off, so I might just leave that one as is because it's one of those tougher ones. The Opar books from Jose Farmer, number 100. It takes on the carries on from one of the Tarzan books, Jules of Opar. It's interesting, isn't it? I don't know what that is, but I'll keep it in there just in case it relates to this book. Lin Carter one. I suppose another little trademark of these door books is that you don't get many that are really, really long. Most of them are quite small, more akin to a book that was published in, say, the 50s or 60s. My next wedge here. Right, so the next bit of info is just on the book numbers. So starting with Door Books number 1. Most of the titles, and continues to do so today, with over 1,500 titles being published to date. Originally, the door book number was found in the yellow box in the upper right corner. Yeah, that's not going to come off, so we're going to leave that. We just make more of a mess. The door book's logo was found in the upper right corner, which we knew about. But since mid-1984, the door book's number may be found under Door's logo on the front cover and under the logo on the inside of the book. Or on the copyright page, the Door Collectors, with the Door Collectors number. Sometimes Door would not note the door book's number on a later printing. This was most noticeable in books in the early. This was most noticeable on the earlier books, 1972 to 1984, where Door would print the order number where the book number was normally printed, meaning you would need to look up the order number in this list to see what the door book number would be. So we've got a few like that where the number is actually, that number has been replaced with one which says 1000 and something, and that's simply because it was a reprint and they dropped the number for that, which is a little annoying, isn't it? But thankfully there are these checklists which show us what's what. It says, to date, door books seem to have skipped numbers just 3 times. So there's 3 numbers which never got published. 667, 11, 90 and 1321. So they're probably not going to affect me because I don't have many past that number anyway. They published 2 books under the same door number, number 1191. So that was a mistake. And several books by John Norman and Gregory Kern didn't have a door number at all. So they are independent of the normal series. I'm probably guessing it was ones like John Norman's Time Slave, or he did one called Imaginative Sex, which I've not got. It's one of the few John Norman books I've not got. I've never come across it cheap. I refuse to sort of pay even a tenner for a copy of that, you know. So I don't think it's too complicated to collect these in number order. Certainly, they're not the only publisher to skip, you know, to publish by numbers at Penguin, and then certain numbers will get lost in the midst of time because the publication would get abandoned. A book would be commissioned, it would have a number reserved for it, and then the book, for whatever reason, would not get published. And that happens with lots of book publishers. Even the number getting used twice was a mistake which befell Penguin in their early days. So there's all sorts of similar mistakes are happening. That's another good run done. And the last bit of info I got, it says, so some of the following books were titles that were published with 2 door book numbers, so the numbers were doubled up. So they got published with a number, and then for some reason, when they were reprinted, they were given another number, which is rather unusual. So King of Argent by John T. Philippant was number 46 and also number 447. So how's that for confusing? That definitely sounds like something Pam would do. And I wonder if it was for the same sort of reasons, that it was just down to the, maybe the price was changing, something like that, and it was given a different number. Hayden of Ancient Opar, one that we saw earlier, was door 100, but also came out as door 446, 442 rather, the one by Philip Jose Farmer. There was also one of the Philip K. Dick books, Flow My Tears, the Policeman Said, which is door 146, but also is door 438. So since I haven't got either of those, I'm not really sure till I see them. I guess the early number is obviously the first print, and the later one will be the reprint. This is quite interesting. It's got discarded at the bottom. Nothing serious, it's just been discarded. So there was just a couple of other books which for some reason had dual numbers. And that was The Birthgrave by Tanith Lee, which came out as number 154 and 463. And then another Jose Farmer one, Flight to Opar, which was number 197 and also 475. So, if you are collecting, you need to know that info. A lot of it is online, so you just need to go and check it out. All themselves published like an annual catalogue by the look of it. I've got one of them, which I shall show you later on when I go through the door books in order properly. And from those catalogues, a door book scholar has basically pulled together accurate information about the series, and also it's been cross-referenced by people's collections so that we know it is accurate and up to date. The door catalogues themselves are actually really nice. It's a shame I've only got the one of them, but as you can imagine, they don't turn up very often in the UK. And although I found some online in America, they're asking like, well, the equivalent of about 20 quid for a catalogue. And I'm not prepared, as much as I like related paperback memorabilia, particularly for publishers that I collect, I'm not willing to pay that much for it. For one of those. The one I picked up was like a couple of quid, which I thought that's absolutely fine for that. I have got many old catalogues for certain publishers, particularly Penguin, who were the masters of blowing their own trumpet through promotional catalogues and launching new series and what have you. So I've just taken a little break there. I've zoomed forward a little bit in time, just because, you know, I don't want these videos going on for hours and hours. This is the first one, very first door book, number 1 there. And we'll have a look and see if it's a first edition. It is one I've already got. So yeah, that is the very first printing of the very first door book. I shall definitely give that one a read. As I said, I've got a copy of that one already. I've not read a lot of Andre Norton since I was young. Just see how that one goes down. I've probably got about 20-25 or so books to go through, and then it just then leaves the jackets to have a bit of a shine up. So that's what we're going to do now. On the whole, I've been really pleased with this collection. It's been great. There's a few lower grade ones which are fine as reading copies. For the time being, you know. Wally's Paperback Book Exchange in Tucson, Arizona. It's amazing where these books have all come from, isn't it, you know? A lot of them from America by the looks of it. You know, from American second-hand stores, I should say. Not many have come it doesn't appear as if many have originated from UK second-hand bookstores. It's got quite an interesting little stamp inside. I'll just see if I can see the detail of that a little bit easier. See that? Oh, Library of Carol Nelson. Look at that, it's got a little stamp in it. That's quite nice, isn't it? Paperback Paradise, also in Arizona, Phoenix, Arizona, and Sun City, Arizona. Paperback Paradise, eh? That's what you get on this channel. You're in Paperback Paradise. But if you want even more paperback action, as you know, Gary Lavisi over in New York does a channel. Absolutely amazing vintage collection, probably the finest in existence in one hand, and the condition just gobsmackingly good, you know. He's been a book dealer and collector for, well, all his life, I think. So in that time he's had the opportunity to really get an amazing collection of books together, and it's all publishers genres. It's just incredible, including some real early stuff as well, stuff that you wouldn't think, you know, 19th century titles. Also quite an accomplished author himself. He's written lots of Sherlock Holmes stories and all sorts, really. So Gary's got his own channel. If you've not checked it out, Gary Lavisi on YouTube. You've got the Paperback Warrior podcast, weekly podcasts up to, as I film this, they've just come back into the new year of 2020, and I think they're at almost their 80th episode now, and they're real good shows. Some of them I've gone back and listened to more than once because they've been that good. If it's a particular author that I like, I'd like to know a bit more about, someone I'm just getting into, it's quite nice to have as a point of reference sometimes. It's like a good primer on a particular author. And they have just started moving into horror and science fiction now, which really opens up the market for what they can cover, rather than it just being sort of men's adventure titles and early crime. Although, I could admit, thanks to them, I've been able to read quite a bit of crime that I never would have considered before because they recommended it, and it's been great. So the hosts are Tom, Simon, and Eric. I can't remember his last name, but Tom and Eric, and they have the companion Paperback Warrior website as well, where they do, I think it's almost a review a day. So do check those out. And then, of course, we got the regular fanzines coming out from Justin Merritt, whose collection this was, and Gary Lavisi also publishes Paperback Parade. He's been doing that one for the best part of 30 years, I think. And I shall keep my side of the bargain up by publishing as much paperback content as I can to YouTube, as and when I get the chance. Still got plenty to be getting through, so that's good news. Got lots more to show you yet. But I am very much looking to go down the path now of doing sort of the specialist episodes on a particular author. So I recently did one on Leslie Charteris in Vintage Pan Book. He was, of course, the creator of The Saint. And that's gone down really well, and I actually enjoyed putting it together and researching it. So I think videos like that will be great fun on a specific author. So that's what I'm going to try and do going forward, a few more of those. Beautiful jacket, that one. Pierre Barbet. Don't know much about him. I said I'm not overly worried about having these in first prints or reprints, but it would be nice to get like a run of the publisher's first sort of 500 books or so. I think that'd be really nice in your library, that. And some real fantastic classic stuff in there. Lots of stuff I haven't got in one form or another, which I'll be very pleased to get my hands on. So this has certainly been a real great way to expand the collection. I'm just going to pause and adjust the camera there slightly. So we're on to the last little pile of books that just need checking. Here's one of the early, in fact this is the first one that Gore published of John Norman's Gore titles. Hunters of Gore, not a bad one. Sadly they do get progressively more silly as the series goes on, which is a shame because they started so well. And I'd say the first trilogy of Gore books is absolutely fantastic, and they could easily be put together into like a little omnibus to read the first three because they follow on really well. I saw someone on eBay recently had a Gore box set, or as they called them in the States, a slipcase set. It was basically what we would call in the UK a box set, and it had 5 Gore titles in, and it had been signed on the box by John Norman, which is really nice. I do actually have his signature on a couple of promo things, which is quite nice. There we are. Give these last few edges a dust off. So now that the collection is all pretty much cleaned and done and dusted, I'm going to have to put them into order. I've already got what I own already catalogued on my computer, and I just use a basic like Google Docs document. So if I ever am out and about, I've always got my mobile phone on me. I can just connect to Google Docs and I can instantly see if it's a book that I've got or not, because it's hard to remember them all. Although I don't do bad, generally speaking, off the top of my head. But and then once they're all sorted out, I'll do a few follow-up videos where I will study them in much more detail and see how we get on. It would be nice to do the first 500 and fill in with pictures all the ones that I haven't got. So maybe I'll do that, because they're all available online for me to grab the photos of. And then I could do maybe a series of 5 videos showcasing the first 500 Door books. That would be pretty cool, wouldn't it? And even if I haven't got them, I can always slip in a picture at the same time of the missing volumes. So maybe that's something I'll do in the next sort of coming months, and we'll start with the first 100. So do look out for those coming down the line. So that's all the edges done and dusted. The last step now of the process is just to give the covers a bit of a clean. Now, we only got one which was bad per se, and it was this one because it had a sticky residue left by the sticker. So I'm just going to get my soft cloth, Mr. Sheen, and put a dab pretty much straight on that horrible area. And already it started to lift the glue off. Yeah, that's quite nice. So I'm just going to put a little bit more on now. I'm just going to leave it there. So I'm just going to leave that one over there. And I'm then going to go through the rest of the books, almost in like production style order here, and give them a damn good polish. None of these require massive amounts of polish, but I'll just do the first sort of couple of stacks, and then I'll pause it, and we'll come back towards the end. But this is just like the last like little stage that I do when I'm cleaning books, just to take off any sort of old fingerprints and things like that which may have accumulated over the best part of 4, almost 5 decades since these really nice books were published. Because in that time they're going to pick up, going through the second-hand circuit, in a lot of cases they're just going to pick up dirt and grime and fingerprints, and they've been read a few times and they get steadily worse. And this just sort of finishes it off and gets the books looking as good as I can make them, and what I would consider to be nice copies to have in a library. As I said, it's just something that I've done for many years on my books, and I've definitely started doing it since I've had the channel, because it's made me want to do it, want to get as good a collection as possible. As you can see, they do come up really nice. It's probably quite hard to see in the flesh, or well, no, I can see in the flesh rather, but it's quite hard to see on video just what a difference this makes. But that's actually got quite a big sticker mark on the back. When you do it, it really does pay off. This one's got an awful sticker mark on the back, so there's another one which is coming off quite nicely with a bit of extra attention there. It was similar to the one in the last video. It was in exactly the same spot as well, where there was a previous signature on. That's it. That's lovely. And so they don't take a lot. It's just in some cases giving them almost a cursory once over, just to get them looking as nice as possible. Before they sort of get sorted into the main collection, really. As I said, we will look at them in much more detail, 100 at a time, when we work our way through the main collection. But sadly, there's not a lot of information online about the series. I was quite surprised that no one's really sort of written a definitive sort of. I mean, there's bibliographies out there, so you know what's been published, but there's not a lot about the backstory. A publisher like this, you'd think a bit more would have been written, and also there really doesn't seem to be much in the way of collector's sites for this series, so I would imagine that it would have lent itself to having at least a few sites dedicated to collecting them, sharing and trading books. But I guess that's something that sadly may have been there in the early days of the internet, but seems to have died in the latter days of the internet, which is a shame. I guess if people want stuff, they just go on eBay or Abe and pick the books up that way, And I suppose there's nothing wrong with that. It's just, it seems a bit of a shame that that's the way that it's gone. Right, let's look at this one. Yeah, this is the one with a slightly dodgy sticker on the front, which is now pretty much gone as much as I can make it. It's nice and smooth, it's not sticky now. So it has left a little bit of residue there, but nowhere near as bad as it was. Sadly, the book has been, the price has been taken out there and on the spine. So it would have been like 95 cents, something like that. But apart from that, it's a nice copy, so I wouldn't want to get a shot of it. So I'm just going to pause there once more, and we'll zoom forward in time just to when I'm polishing the last stack. So I'm just popping the very final few books through the cleaning the cover process now, and then we're all going to be done. So it certainly has been quite a task doing so many books in such a short amount of time, and all the same sort of publisher as well. But fascinating to get this look at the books all in one hit like this. Fantastic. So I do hope you have enjoyed looking through them as I have. I know I haven't shown quite every book because this video would have ended up being about 2.5 hours long, and that's a bit ridiculous for a cleaning video. As it was, I split it into 2 parts. So I've shown you what I can, but next time we see these door books, it'll be part of my sort of where I go through like 100 at a time for the first 500 or so at least, until we look at them in a bit more detail. So on the whole, these certainly weren't bad condition. A few needed a bit more work than others, but they're certainly in that period which I like to collect on these, which is the first sort of 10 years or so. These ones with the white backs sometimes show marks and creases and stuff a bit more than you might like, but it is what it is. And I would like to know if any of my viewers collect these nice distinctive door books. I know there's a couple of accounts on Instagram that I've followed for years, and one guy on there has got an enormous collection of these yellow spined books. Last little wedge now. So yeah, do give us a shout if you collect these yourself, or if after seeing these you think, oh, I really like the look of those. I might see if I can get a little collection together of some of my favourite authors, or if you might be thinking, oh, I shall try and get the first 50 or something like that. They are all available, so it's not like it's too hard to do. But yeah, if you have enjoyed today's video, do please give it the old proverbial thumbs up. And if you've not already, do please hit the subscribe button. I am hoping to get to 10,000 this year in 2020. That would be my target. If I can get to 10,000, I'll then be able to do a few other things on YouTube, which at the moment I'm not able to do. One of which is to do a bit of merchandise, which I think will be a bit of fun. I'd like to do some classic vintage paperback mugs, coffee mugs, which I can sell, or rather YouTube will sell them for me through their website. And it helps support the channel. I only get a little bit of money from them, but I think they'll be really nice, and I'd like to do some of those, so I think they'll be quite good fun, and even some t-shirts and stuff. So that becomes available on YouTube when you hit 10,000 subscribers. It's like it unlocks it, as well as a few other things which would be quite good for the channel. So from that point of view, if you haven't already subscribed, well, it would make a difference. Everyone makes a difference. So if you have enjoyed the video, do hit that like button. Leave a comment down below to say you enjoyed it. And if you yourself are thinking, oh, I wouldn't mind getting a few of those that you've seen today, I'm very interested to know if this has inspired you to go out and find a few door books yourself. As I said, they're not difficult to get. So here's the very first one again, Spell of the White Witch. Thank you very much for watching today, and look out for some more vintage door book videos in the next few months. I'll certainly get the first 100, and I'm going to do a bit of research on Donald himself, see if I can find a little bit more about him, because I don't know a lot about him, and he was obviously the integral part of creating door books when he left Ace, so I'd like to learn a little bit more about that, and I shall relay the information to you. But there we are, that's the last one. The last one cleaned. As good as we can get it. So yeah, thank you very much for watching today, and I will look forward to seeing you again very soon. Bye.